The escort drill. This, in my opinion, is the best way to build your support hand grip on the pistol, especially when we're getting this thing out of the holster. Let's break down what this drill consists of and how it's going to benefit you when you hit the range. So the escort drill is one of my favorite drills to show students on how to build your support hand grip as you present the gun up into view. For many years, I've called this the come along drill. And in a recent class, I said, if you have a better name for this thing, please let me know, because I don't love that name. But I'm really associating that with pulling with the support hand up as opposed to pushing with the dominant hand. And that's really what I'm trying to get across with this drill. And a student said, what about just like an escort drill, like you're escorting your right hand up into the target or your dominant hand up into the target? I was like, I like it. I'm gonna steal that. So the escort drill main purpose is that we are setting our support hand grip at the point in which we would marry our hands up from a complete draw. So if I draw the pistol and I get this thing out of the holster, at what point am I getting my support hand on the gun? That's where I start this drill. If you feel like you're much higher up when you're getting your left hand or your support hand on the gun to present up, I feel as though you're giving yourself a huge disadvantage by not getting your support hand on the grip much sooner. It gives us much more time to establish a grip, to then present all the way up. And by the time we present all the way up, our grip is established, it's anchored in place, and all we need to do is elevate the gun up into view, and we're able to get, obviously, a good sight picture with our dot. If we don't have a good grip on the pistol, many times we're searching for that dot, and we're also giving us an opportunity to get really good grip on the gun for recoil management. Those are the two big things that this grip is going to give us: an ability to find the dot consistently and recoil management. If grip is that important, then we want to emphasize it in a drill like this so that when we build that grip up from a complete draw, we're able to do that relatively easily because we're starting from a point out here to establish it on the way up. Let's break down the specifics of this drill and ultimately what we're trying to accomplish with this grip. So whether you're carrying from a 3 o'clock or appendix, doesn't really matter. Nothing really changes there. It's just the angle in which we're grabbing the gun. If I get this thing out of the holster and I start to marry my hands up, I level the gun out to where the muzzle is parallel to the ground, and then I get my support hand on the gun. This is my starting point. I'd like to start from this point with an unestablished grip so that we can build the grip on the way up. A lot of times folks, when they start this drill, they'll already have it gripped as though they're at a low ready position, like they're clearing their house. But we want to make sure that it's unestablished so that we can build that on the way up and we have a finger to palm pressure on the way up. So if we think about it like we're opening a jar, we have that tension in our fingers, and then we wrap our palm around that jar. That's essentially what we're doing here. A lot of times I see students when they present up, they go palm to fingers and then they wrap here, but we're not able to get the same tension as if we were pulling back, placing that chicken wing of the palm in the empty space on the frame. We don't accomplish the same thing if we wrap our fingers. We want to make sure fingers are first, and then we bring the palm up into view so we have that tension. We have that ability to anchor the grip, leverage into the gun so we can actually reduce that recoil. As far as what the dominant hand is doing is I'm just holding this gun strong enough to make sure that I don't drop it on the ground. Essentially think about this like I have an empty pop can in my hand. I want to make sure I don't put any dents into it. I'm just holding the gun, the support hand comes up into view, and then I wrap this thing up. The last little thing that I do that I know has worked for a few of my students, but this is completely personal preference. If we think about that sympathetic response with the trigger finger, if I pull the trigger and I have a little bit of movement with my middle ring and pinky finger, at that point, I start to throw, as a right-handed shooter, a lot of rounds low or low left. And for my left-handed shooters, low right. And so what I've been doing is I kind of just leave a little bit of tension off of the actual pads of my fingers, and I place the tension here in between my knuckles. So that just places on the front of the gun, here, and then I leave those unwrapped from the frame, meaning I don't actually like pinch down with the pads of my fingers. What that allows me to do is when I pull the trigger, I kind of have my fingers like laced inside of my palm, because this part is not going to be touching, this part of my palm is not going to be touching the frame anyway, so that I'm able to get that chicken wing of the palm up there. I have a little bit of a gap here, but it doesn't affect my ability to control the recoil. That has helped me reduce the amount of times I put negative input into the gun with my dominant hand. Again, it's these 3 fingers messing with your grip every time you pull the trigger. So just a little side note, that's what I prefer. That's how I show certain students that are struggling in that area. I say, try not to wrap your fingers around the gun. It might help you out. So now that I've developed that finger to palm pressure, I raise it up into view, and then the last little piece here is just going to be a pinky back and like thumb up pressure. So like this. So if I were to shake somebody's hand and actually leverage into their hand, that's what I'm doing. I'm locking my wrist out. I'm actually establishing that leverage so that I don't need to use a bunch of strength, leverage in, and that's going to give me the ability to reduce the recoil. So with all that out of the way, let's do a couple of drills where we actually assess where we're at, assess how we're picking up that dot, and then actually document it on the shot timer. So if you're curious on where I would ultimately marry my hands up, you can go through the motions of a full draw, find that point in which the gun level's out, and then that's kind of our starting point, all right? So for here, fingers together like I'm karate chopping. I don't want to separate my fingers. I want to establish that grip. So fingers are together, index finger is touching my dominant hand middle finger, and it's underneath the trigger guard. That's my connection point. So this is going to be my starting position. On the beep, I'm just going to raise up. I'm going to fire 1 shot in the A, and I'm going to document essentially my time and then what I saw when I presented up. Was I fishing for the dot? Did it rise above my focal point? I'm aiming at the A of the A box, so I'm staring at that point. Did I drive past it? Did I drive too low? Make those assessments and then relay it to you guys. So on the shot timer, here we go. So dead center shot, a 145, working in slow. Was fishing for the dot a little bit. Where I can pick up time is obviously towards the end. So let's do that again. A 9-4. .106. 102. And a 105. That last one, ignore this last beep. That last one, I did have a little bit of influence with that dominant hand that I wouldn't want. We're at about 7-8 yards. If we were to back that up, that might be compounded in terms of where my shot actually lands, but all those were inside that A zone, so we're not too concerned about those. We reset the timer here. So again, the goal is to assess ultimately where that dot is landing. What does my grip feel like? On all of those, my grip felt really good. Obviously, when we start adding in the draw, that's where things get a little hanky. We start to fall apart in some areas. We don't get a good grip on the way out. We get stumbled up on our shirt. Things like that happen. So it's really important to isolate these skills. And why I love the escort drill is because I can isolate a specific movement, just simply the presentation, so that I know what it should feel like when I grab this thing out of the holster and I present up. .142. .124. .123. So looking at our hits on here, anything inside of the A zone is appropriate. So we had one kind of right on the line here, but when I see that flash of red, that's my permission to pull the trigger. So when you guys are doing this, work from a comfortable pace, start to build up that grip on the way up, start to build up your confidence so that you know consistently that flash of red is going to come somewhere within this A zone. I don't care if it's in the corner, I don't care if it's dead center. Obviously, we'd love to have a super tight group, of course. But if this is my target, if this is my target, if this is my target, that strategy changes, of course. So that flash of red, work on an upper thoracic target, like an A zone target. start to work that grip on your way up. Anchor, elevate. Those are the two factors that I really want to focus on, so that I know I have the confidence in my support hand grip that when I present this thing up and I pull the trigger at a predictive pace, within certain distances, I'm gonna be within that silhouette. I'm gonna be within that A-zone target. That's my goal. So I want to encourage you guys, when you're developing this skill, especially in dry fire, that you work at home on this. I start every day that I'm practicing at home with the escort drill. Up, and I warm myself up to be able to get this thing out of the holster as quickly as I can. With this escort drill, nothing changes regardless of where I'm drawing this gun from. This is giving me the confidence to be able to present that gun up into view and to get good effective hits on the target. If you guys found this video interesting, if you found it useful, please make sure you give us a like. If you have any thoughts or opinions on how we can develop our skills, whether it's the escort drill or something completely different, leave your comments down below. You want to see more content like this in the future, subscribe to Force Frontier. My name's Josh Nelson, signing off. We'll see you in the next video.